Hi there, my name is ChristopherOdd and I hope you're having a good one. I was recently invited to an Ubisoft virtual event to check out the previously named Gods and Monsters title. And if you watched the Ubisoft Forward event, which just aired, you know that the game is now titled Immortals Fenyx Rising. If you've never heard about this or you didn't see the event, in a quick summary, Immortals Fenyx Rising is an open world action adventure game that's focused on stories inspired by Greek mythology. Now, during my 3 hours of hands-on time with the demo, I was able to spend a lot of time exploring, fighting monsters, and listening to what I will say is actually quite witty fourth wall-breaking commentary from our good buddy Zeus.
So you can just wave away whatever you want with narration. Zeus, a perfect father and husband, approves.
This might be a fantasy game, but even we have limits.
But what I enjoyed the most were the puzzles and these vaults that we would find in the world. With that in mind, I wanted to show you some of my favorite puzzle types from the demo, and I'm going to save the best one for last because I think it just sums up the game really well. So let's begin. First up, we have Constellation Challenges. Now, in Constellation Challenges, the goal is to match the wall's pattern by placing spheres into the appropriate holds. Seems easy enough until you realize that individual spheres are locked in other areas, and you may need previously unlocked orbs to reach those ones. Now, utilizing some of our abilities, one specifically to pull and hold objects, we want to navigate the spheres into specific receptacles that will open barriers, allowing other spheres to be accessed, and then we can dive deeper into the puzzle. We need to look for areas that we can manipulate the spheres, throw them through small openings, trigger barriers at appropriate times as spheres are moving, all in the hopes of allowing us to free them all and then build the constellation. These were legitimately tricky puzzles, and I can only imagine how much more complex they're going to get later in the game, but enjoyable nonetheless. And when you solve one, there is a real sense of satisfaction. So I can't wait to see how things get as we progress. Here's a minute or so of the end of the puzzle so you can see how the solution works out and what the potential rewards are like.
Strange coin, bearing Charon's mark.
Typhon stole those too? Charon was saving up for a bridge.
Secondly, we have navigation challenges, which, as you might guess, involve us navigating the terrain in a specific time period. What's particularly interesting about this is that there isn't a timer in your face telling you how much time you have left. The timer is basically a piece of music that gives cues to how much time you have left during your run. And each navigation challenge will likely take you a few tries as you need to learn how much time you have and try to find an optimal path. Thankfully, though, this is such a nice, just a quality of life thing for players. If you fail, you're immediately teleported to the starting point again, which saves you a ton of time, as you can imagine. Third, and my personal favorite puzzle type that I got to try, are vaults. I'm going to show you a couple of the ones that I tackled. And again, I'm going to save the best for last. You find vaults while exploring, or you can scout them from vantage points to reveal them on your map. Once you get to a vault, you generally have enemies to deal with how you see fit. You can choose to fight them, or you can dive right into the vault, get to the puzzles, fight the enemies after, whatever you decide to do. Once inside, you'll realize each vault has a sort of themed mechanic that you need to learn. For example, in this vault, we need to understand the rolling ball's timing and blast them with air to break down distant walls and access other airways. Those airways will push our spheres into the correct receptacles, and as we continue through the vault, the difficulty increases. We need to be more precise, but because we understand the mechanics better, we feel like we have a little bit more control. So here's some gameplay from that vault just to kind of demo it for you. This last vault that I'm going to show you was actually a pretty incredible find. It was out on an island that we could fly to, and I only found it near the very end of my playtime. Glad I did, though, because in my opinion, it sums up the game's tone perfectly, and it gives the player an excellent idea of the creative puzzles that you're going to find if you're just open to exploring. In this final vault, everything seems familiar until you reach the first platform. The platform has 2 triggers on it, and you get to see a new camera angle. Sure enough, you're playing pinball in the underworld. In the first section, we're using our presumably wooden ball that happens to be on fire to destroy the wooden blocks and gain access to a hatch that will trigger an opening for the ball to pass through. The next phase of this vault's a little bit more difficult in that you have multiple balls to manipulate. Giggity. More bumpers in the middle gives you additional options for hitting, just like traditional pinball, but there are also different spots for your ball to bounce off uncontrollably. Now, at the end of each vault, you're rewarded with Zeus's lightning, which lets you further upgrade your powers. Could you play the entire game and ignore most of the puzzles and vaults? Sure, but in my opinion, you'd be missing out on what I think are some of the more enjoyable aspects of the game, and probably a lot of cool secrets along the way. So with all that said, I hope you enjoyed this quick look at my favorite aspect of my hands-on time with Immortals Fenyx Rising. If you enjoyed the video, a thumbs up or a sub would be great. If you have any questions, please leave them below and I'll answer what I can. See you guys at release.
The world trembles. You need me.
Phoenix, fighting with all her might, had nearly reached Olympus on her quest to defeat Typhon, the dreaded god destroyer. But first, she would have to plunge into